Hey everybody, welcome. Sorry for the phone going off. That could have been anybody.
It's Uncle
Matt. Hello.
Welcome to Get Out, a podcast about nothing. This is our, oh my gosh, is it?
13th.
It is our lucky 13th episode today. We are discussing season 2, episode 8 of Seinfeld. This episode is called The Apartment. And you would think, I'm very impressed that out of the whole show takes place, or most of the show takes place in Jerry's apartment. And I mean the whole show, not this episode. And there are so many episodes that have to do with apartment business, kind of. I'm impressed that this is the one that got the title The Apartment, right?
Yeah.
Corey and I
It's a good point.
Took like 5 or 10 minutes to remember because we're like, we know what was that episode in season 1 with George trying to get Jerry that new apartment, and then George kind of wants it but doesn't want to take it if Jerry doesn't want it. Jerry doesn't want to take it if George wants, like that whole thing. And Elaine also, that was the first time when she thought she might get to move into Jerry's building, but that time she thought it would actually be Jerry's apartment.
Yeah.
Right? So poor Elaine, she's in for it again with this episode.
She really is.
Yeah. She's just trying really hard to get out of that miserable apartment with her
We'll meet her
hated
soon,
roommate. Yeah. And it is not working for her. So, okay.
Yeah.
So the general plot of this episode.
Plot.
Polite.
This is Hud Walker in Jerry's building, who she actually has the
That is
apartment
correct.
directly above Jerry, has died, and Jerry decides, Elaine could take that apartment, so he puts her name in for it.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately regrets it. So the episode is about him trying to figure out how to get himself out of this predicament.
Well, he doesn't regret it until they talk. He hasn't even seen her yet. Plus, Harold and Manny is who he talked about to the apartment with.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about them.
No, I'm just summarizing. And then
I see.
Yeah, but I got you. Yeah, and then we have so we get to meet Harold, the superintendent, and his boyfriend or husband, Manny. And Kramer has a hair situation. And then George, of course, is trying to figure out another way to get women to sleep with him. So, all right. So we already mentioned that previous episode.
In a nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah, that basically.
Actually, yeah. Sure, that's pretty much it.
So we already mentioned that previous episode in season 1 where Elaine thinks she's going to move into Jerry's actual apartment. That's called The Robbery. And we did have an episode on that. So go back and check that out. Some behind the scenes stuff. Did you happen to write down the name of the author? Peter, I see it in your notes.
Yeah, Peter Melman.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He does a lot of good episodes.
Yeah.
It was his idea for the wedding band with George.
I like him too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
just
Peter Melman's cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, he told a story in the behind the scenes about how he turned in the script and Larry David told him, okay, well, it's going to take us a couple days to read it, so you might not hear from us right away. And so then Peter Melman drove home, and by the time he got home, there was a message on his answering machine from Larry David. We were lying. We read it right away. It's fantastic. You're hired. So yeah, that was.
It was a good call.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah,
That was
absolutely. Okay.
Stand up one.
Yes. Stand up one.
Painted apartment gets smaller. So Jerry says it's sad every time you paint your apartment or your house because you just feel a little smaller because every time you paint it, it gets smaller. And
Yes.
that was pretty much the gist. of it.
I've never thought about that though. Any time I've ever painted, have I ever thought this room is smaller now?
Very small. I did panic a little bit because he talks about painting over the plugs.
Oh, I know.
And I just have to point out, it's illegal. Don't do that. You can't use the plug if you've ever painted.
He says what? Like a pig trying to push his way through. That's where I plug in. The pig's nose.
Yeah, that's good. I like that one.
Yeah.
So
That is pretty funny. The whole
Yeah.
thing is funny, but
we have a random tidbit from interviews around this time. Jason Alexander wanted to be William Shatner.
Yeah.
That's why he got into it.
oh,
So in the stand-up, Jerry mentions that Star Trek is the ultimate male fantasy, right? Because you have a comfortable chair,
All these people working for you.
all these people working for you, and you have a huge TV screen.
Kurt had the big screen, so the Klingon boxing, you got to be there.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That was so great.
Yeah, and then I loved the mention that Jason Alexander idolized William Shatner. I think that's great.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah, me too.
when he started doing
That's
Shakespeare,
cool.
he was just performing as William Shatner, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so finish the stand-up one. Open
Go
in
back to-
Jerry's
Yeah,
apartment,
Moose.
and we
Kramer's already in there, so he's
No,
he
no,
doesn't-
Or I gotta do the.
I should have moosed your hair for the.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So you open on Kramer.
And Elaine's there too. And
right, but he doesn't enter, so he doesn't get a
we
count.
get an entrance. Nope, no entrance yet. And we're at entrance 23 still, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're both looking at Kramer, and he's like, "Come on." And they're
This
like,
is great.
"Ah."
I love this. He has a couple great lines. He says, I
Pre-moose?
moved up.
I moved up.
Post move.
Yeah.
Pre-moose.
There was my pre-moose, and now there's my post-moose. I love it. It's so great.
And he never mooses like ever again.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess it didn't test.
Well, there's like, you could tell there's like a good
No,
like
he does, but he just mooses up.
product, but like it's not. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, it just makes it
Very
stick up.
the way it is this episode, he doesn't do.
Yeah.
That's like I should have said.
That's true.
So he does mention though, like Elaine brings up the marathon. 'cause
Oh,
her,
yes,
her
yes.
friends gonna host a party to watch them,
Yeah, and so she's inviting
Yep.
Jerry.
and she's
Yeah.
inviting Jerry, and Kramer instantly goes, "Oh, I was gonna enter that." and Elaine and everybody, they're kind of looking at Kramer when he says that,
Yeah.
But Kramer is into that. Like he's into the like
He is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, because there's no context for it in the episode, you can't just enter the New York City Marathon. You have to finish in a qualifying race. You have you submit an application months ahead of time. Like,
I love you,
and
Elizabeth.
Kramer's like, oh man, I forgot to
I
sign up
love
for that."
you.
No,
I
Kramer.
love you. That's hilarious. Because you think about everything.
Deal.
All I can see is Kramer dying at the end.
I feel like he would be the one to find a secret shortcut through Central Park, and he would end up with a record time or something. And they would all be like, how, this unknown, how did
This
you
unknown.
I love it.
It just says Kramer. There's no other name. Like, yeah.
or maybe somebody gets hurt and then they take off their number and Kramer
Who's
sees it
gonna
and
put
he's
on
like,
the ribbon?
oh, okay. Starts running. It would be great.
Funny.
I would love for him to be in the New York Marathon, but it's not
It's not feasible, dude.
unfortunately. Okay. So in the midst of this conversation, you hear yelling from the hallway.
Oh yeah.
And Jerry,
Boys. Yeah.
Boys.
boys.
Yeah.
So Jerry walks out there.
That's a quote, actually.
Earl Manny.
Yeah. Which this is the only episode that they're in, but I wish that, or at least according to the notes about nothing, this is the only episode they're in.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish that they were in more.
I really like them too. I thought they were good in the show, and I don't know why they
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
So
Excuse me.
they're talking and
So it's implied that they're together,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they seem so.
Yeah.
And if not, okay.
Yeah.
But not that there's anything wrong with that.
Manny only speaks Spanish, so if you don't know Spanish, you might not understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
So Jerry mentions,
Which is
oh,
a funny
Yeah.
physical.
It's great, yeah.
Jerry
You
says,
get the
oh,
point.
I put the rent check under your door. Did you get it right? So Harold
Good. Yeah, I
is the
forgot about that.
superintendent. I get Manny is like his partner, or he works there, or whatever.
Probably helps with
yeah,
maintenance or
and
whatever.
so then it becomes clear that they're fighting because the Mrs. again, what's her name? Mrs. Hudwalker on the floor above Jerry has died, and they have to go take out the stuff. So Harold kind of jokes. He offers Jerry some of the stuff.
I thought if she wasn't Lou on her rent, she would have been up there for a month.
Yeah.
And he says, I found her yesterday. She had no wig on. So horrified. The way he says it, the crowd, you can just hear them all like laugh, and everyone's like, "Oh man!" Like they can just picturing it. She was 94. Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was really well done the way he said it. The way he, it was great.
He has good character actor.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah, he does.
We hear or see Jerry's apartment for the first time that I can remember. Maybe I'm a little wrong. I think they got it wrong in season 1, but here it is, actual correct 5A. The rest of the time.
Yeah. Okay.
5A.
In the hallway and all that. Yeah.
It was 2 something or 2A, I think, like in season 1. But
yeah, you're right. I think.
That weird little shot with when they went to the elevator.
You're right.
So I don't know. Maybe y'all remember. I don't remember who brought up. Oh, that means there's an apartment available. If it was Harold or Jerry.
Jerry.
Jerry said it. So he probably asked, "Oh, does that mean her apartment's available?" Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then it comes up, and then he's, if I knew anybody.
Well, they're like, do you know someone who lives in an apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harold asks. He says, "Yeah, do you know anybody?" It was supposed to go to Manny's brother, but he got deported. Not that we want to joke about people being deported. That's awful.
But the way it was implied was very lighthearted, and it was obviously a joke, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah. So Jerry
happens in the show
is like, well, my friend Elaine? Do you know she would take that apartment in a second.
Harold likes Elaine.
He says she always says hi to me.
Yep. Sounds like Elaine.
If you go back to the episode with the neighbor for Elaine that stopped saying hi to her, she takes that very seriously. She wants to say hi to people.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point.
So
that's a good point, Elizabeth. Yep.
Well, I just mean they're doing I think they're doing a great job at consistent characterization.
Yeah.
So okay, great. Harold says, "Oh, and it's a steal. It's only $400 a month." Ugh.
Yeah, that's a steal.
I'm not we can't complain about our rent, but $400. Which obviously, particularly in New York, that's crazy.
Especially where he apparently lives. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
There was some interesting information.
If I can guess right, I might be. The average rent was what, $2,200 a month.
So,
in the 90s?
No, not in the 90s.
Oh.
So the Notes About Nothing gave us average rent at the Upper West Side in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
The average rent was $2,800 a month, which I'm sure, if I can just Google it real quick. I'm sure it's much more now, right? Obviously. But even in the 90s, $400 is very low. So I was wondering if there was rent control.
Well, I think it would have to be at that price because
I'm
not sure how rent control works because I'm not from a big city like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure, but I mean, you can kind of figure it out. But it usually, because this happens again in the show. If they're elderly and it's locked in, somehow you can take over that locked in price of
it happens first too. We talked about I think Manya's husband.
Right.
He was in a move to Phoenix.
Right.
He's
and it was rent control. See, again, there's another apartment situation.
It is about a lot of apartments, but it is New York. So I mean, I get it.
So so today, average rent. What is Jerry? Jerry's a 1-bedroom. Average rent in the Upper West Side, which is Jerry's neighborhood, is $4,400 a month. Right. And then not only that, but you also have to have first and last month's rent. And then I also know, So I guess actually I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because we'll talk about it later in the plot.
Yeah.
But the sort of the bottom line is moving in New York is super complicated and super expensive.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
especially like an apartment like this, it does make sense to me why if Jerry didn't move for that apartment, in the robbery, that really nice apartment, if he didn't move for that apartment, he's never moving, right? Because
no,
it's
yeah,
expensive, and when you find a good place, you stay there,
Yeah, that's fair.
So anyways, we'll come back to the average.
That's why these people are elderly and they've been there forever, and that's why the rent locked in or something.
Yeah.
That's cool. Kramer comes out with his moose hair and he's going to go somewhere, like, which we don't see him do a lot, which is
maybe
which
trying
is
to get
interesting.
into the marathon.
I mean, yeah, but like
It's very interesting.
He goes up to Harry and Manny, and it is just funny how they look at him and they like he looks at them with the moose and he walks away and their face is just like.
Yeah, Manny says something in Spanish.
And so like, and he's like, and Kramer goes, and he had no idea what they said. It just wanted to.
I thought that guy's name was Hal. Did I get it wrong?
Harold.
I think Hal is short for Harold. It can be.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Harry.
Harold. Harry.
Harold. Okay.
That I heard, but it could be a short name or a shortcut.
So
I thought they called him Hal. I don't know. Oh, that's cool. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So Jerry is now buzzing.
Yeah, he goes back into the apartment.
He knows it's like I do this too.
Yeah.
I know I have somebody that's going to surprise somebody.
Kind of bouncing.
Yeah. I know they're going to love it. It's going to be great. I can't wait. And she's like, "Come on!" He's teasing her. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. And
it's so cute.
The big swell.
He's like, I don't know if you should be sitting down for this or standing
up so you can jump up and down.
Yeah.
It was good.
And he really strings her along for a minute. I think I probably would have hit him.
It's a big, it's a big fair, but it's a big, big news. So like, I get it. Like I get it. So I don't think it was too much. I think it was pretty good. There was no like too much. I thought that she would have said something, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, what the whole point is, we get, he builds up to the crescendo and says, "I got you an apartment in this building."
Yeah.
And she,
in this building?
A massive
the same as you?
Inhale. Get out. And then just, bam.
Yeah. So this is the first Get Out where we get our podcast name, right? It becomes like an iconic Elaine reaction. Get out.
Yep.
Get out. And she just pushes you hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so she's super excited. And she's talking about like, we'll be right next door or right
above you.
Right above you.
The neighbors and key exchanges.
We can make copies of keys so we can just come in and out.
And Gary, you're seeing like,
you see
all the time
enthusiasm.
I did not think this through at all.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes. So there's one thing that I wanted to point out I think it was in the notes about nothing. There's a quote from Julia Louis-Dreyfus about why Elaine and Jerry never get together in the show, which I think was super interesting.
Right.
Yeah. And she said, if Jerry and Elaine did get together, they would be way less dysfunctional, right? Meaning that they would be great together.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not funny.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes sense, I think.
It does. It makes it funnier for them to not.
Yeah.
It's so Larry David too to not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
just to spite everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, all the time.
So then I really appreciated this stand-up moment because sometimes you have to like, what is the connection here? Why is he talking about this? But this makes total sense, right? So Jerry's losing enthusiasm for Elaine moving into the building, and then you cut to the second stand-up where he's talking about how
if life was always making a movie, and you say the wrong thing, you say the wrong thing. Been there, like, oh crap! Like I should have said that or done that or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
cut
over.
Let's try that again, and then like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I love that so much.
You get a freebie.
Kind of like those Snickers commercials.
Oh yeah,
you
they're only
Snickers bar.
Yeah.
sponsor us, please.
Yeah. Hi Snickers. You're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So life would be better on a set. You could cut. You could do the scene again. You can see how your
Very
emotion
funny.
or your word choice affects, which obviously, yeah, that would be great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so stand-up ends. We cut to in front of the coffee shop.
George leaving.
George is
leaving months.
He real quick says, "See you later, Donna," and I just know if they've named. I don't know. It's weird. It's just interesting because we will have names for random monk employees. So I'm just trying to. We got Donna so far. So just remember, who she comes up with.
Her name may evolve into, but I don't know.
I know, right? It's like we're just gonna.
Yeah, who was he talking to?
As I go back through it again, the notes will catch us up. But I know we're getting to where there's a few named people there.
So
monk.
He's walking out. He walks out and Jerry is walking up. So they meet and Jerry's like, "You will not believe what I did." Right? It's unbelievable. You won't believe it. And so he tells George, I don't remember the exact wording, but he says, "I got Elaine an apartment in my building." And George is like, I love that George immediately understands.
Yeah, he's like right above you, and he's like right above me, and he's like, "Why? Dude, why? What are you thinking?"
He's like, "Yeah, it's bad.
You just blew it. You now always have to have." Oh my God, this was so funny. You don't have the sex advantage, so you have.
You're always on the road. You always have to sex at women's houses. And you need your bed advantage. You need your own bed.
You have a home bed advantage. And Jerry says,
baseball.
I need the home bed advantage.
So Larry David, like tell him, I need the home bed advantage. You don't understand. And everybody's like, Larry, what are you talking about? Like,
you gotta have a buffer zone.
So they're
true.
talking.
You do.
So they go back into the restaurant, and they're trying to theorize. Jerry asks George, "How can I get her out of this?" And George is like, "Oh, that's tough. That's tough." I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
And they talk about potential.
You said low flow shower. We could say the shower's flow is low. She doesn't like that.
I'm not Elaine.
For somebody with that hair, water pressure is important, right? So I don't know. That is
very true.
She just wants to live there so bad.
I know.
But she changes how she's going to do things in a minute.
Yeah.
And they notice, wait a minute, they notice this lady feeding her baby hash browns.
Yeah, they make some comment on, she's feeding her baby this gross, disgusting,
corned beef hash,
oily,
greasy diner food.
Am I making this up, or do they say that should be child abuse? Do they say that?
No, I think Jerry said, is that considered child abuse? Or is she?
Calm down.
She said it's one of the people that work on the show.
Yeah, and, it was like
one of the outtakes or like deleted scenes. She slaps the obviously fake baby just for like so.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I guess they just like, all right, you're on the set.
Yeah,
she was on the set. I don't think they were just. I
think
Jerry and them were ribbing her or something.
So like, then George takes that
feeding this baby.
George takes that opportunity to say, "I want a kid."
No, you don't.
Which are you sure, George?
No.
Are you really sure? Like, I don't think you do.
No.
Oh my God! Please stop that lie.
Plenty of them later. Children and George.
Yeah, I have in my notes. Would George be a good father?
No.
He would throw more sugar packets at him.
We'll have to keep a log from now on.
I'm sure
just all the ways that are like yay or nay.
I'm sure Jason Alexander.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
You know, and
Jerry,
he may be. I don't know.
Jerry tells Jerry, no, because his son was around the times the DVDs came out, or like before it a little bit. Jason's son was like, "Hey, I started watching Seinfeld because the DVDs came out." And he's like, "Dad, you're dick. And Jason's like, I know, but he goes, that's what's paying your college. So, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so no, George.
Oh yeah.
And then here
we
comes,
see him with a lot of kids soon.
So he says, I want a kid, but I guess I need a date first, right?
Yeah.
So the latest George Costanza plan to get women to sleep with him is
You think?
a wedding ring, a fake wedding ring. He's like, I've heard about this. Maybe I should try it. Women. He talks about a friend of his who just got married and now says women are hitting on him all over the place. And then, so Jerry says, well, you can, Kramer has his father's wedding ring, maybe borrow it off of him. So then we cut to, the hallway of the, right outside Jerry's apartment. George is talking to Kramer, still with the moose, right? He borrows the ring from Kramer.
Tells him thank you.
Yeah.
I'll give it back to you in a week.
Yeah.
And Kramer's like, why you don't need this?
Yeah.
Like, why you have it? You're a good looking guy.
All you need is to fix your hair, get a plug or a
get plugs, get a piece.
Get a piece.
George eventually does. It's a season 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I can't remember right now. It's one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great episode. But anyway, we'll get there one day. So yeah, that's good.
Okay, so
I believe it's like
while
season 4.
We sort of pan out or zoom out. And
Harold and Manny.
Yeah, and Harold and Manny are back in the hallway. They're arguing.
Boys.
So Jerry comes back out. Boys. So random and funny.
They're arguing about a sponge.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Oh, jeez. Oh, it's so insane.
All right.
Okay, but before we get to the money, yes, they're arguing about the sponge. That sponge is ridiculous. Why would you ever? No,
Manny,
no.
That's not. You're not cleaning nothing with that
not.
sponge.
Yeah.
This is a waste of time. Like, it's not going to do that.
So I think Harold.
He's like, it's not going to. So it's not. I agree with Harold.
Is totally justified in his anger.
Like it's very
So Jerry comes out to investigate again because he's having fun being the boys,
the mediator,
boys,
whatever.
And Manny tells Harold, roughly, tell him. You got to tell him.
Yeah. A little bit of bad news.
Yeah. So Harold says that there's a guy who wants to give Manny $5,000 to move in to get this apartment, which is still a thing in New York today. It might be like a broker fee, or it could also be something called, I think it's called key money. Yeah. So it's technically illegal, right? To charge somebody get into the apartment. Not only do you have to pay first and last month's rent and a security deposit, but you also have to pay me, right, the superintendent or whoever, X amount of money. So that
I was wondering why everybody wasn't questioning it at all. Everybody was totally heard it and went, "Yep, okay, makes sense."
Yeah, it's because the real estate market is so insane in New York.
That's what Manny does then.
Anyways,
that's Manny.
Yeah,
that's all.
It basically whoever has the most cash flashing it gets it.
Yes.
Makes sense.
And I don't know when that was made illegal. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it was legal there. But yeah, so this guy has $5,000 to Manny. Corey did some research with inflation. $5,000 in 1991, 1990. It's $13,000 today. Insane! It blows my mind. Insane, right?
Can you imagine putting that much down?
I mean, we're looking for a car right now, and that's more than our budget for the car. We don't have, that's ridiculous. Yeah. It's insane.
That is a huge difference.
And like 2 or 3 of the were like 8,900.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to go lower than 13,000. Like I don't want, and we're not paying cash for it either. Like we're gonna have.
Yeah, that is true. Like Elaine.
So you have to have it in
which
cash.
we know Elaine doesn't work for Pendant yet, and she's not like working for JP. Or anything.
Yeah.
So she obviously is so excited about living with Jerry because she feels probably up West Side and like whatever, and she doesn't have $5,000 or.
But she says after she gives him the checks earlier, I have $75 left.
Right. So like so Jerry is delighted because he's like, oh well, she's not going to be able to get it.
It clears him of guilt. It's not, you can't help it. So it's meant to be.
He goes back into the apartment,
which I've been there too, because it's like so nice when you're like, oh my god, there's a good reason. I don't sound like an ass.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. So he goes back into the apartment. George is there, and Jerry tells George,
"You can't handle it." Pretty much in a nutshell.
Hey, Elaine's gonna be here. I'm gonna have to tell her that she can't have the apartment, and I'm gonna have to pretend to be sad about it. Do you want to stick around, or do you want to go high?
It's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly.
Elaine comes in.
Cracking me up with the going back and forth. It was hilarious.
Elaine comes in. She's singing "Good Morning, Good Morning" from Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain. I was looking at you because I want you to watch that movie, and we haven't watched it yet. Anyways, so she's singing because she's so happy. She's thrilled. And
Get out.
And
Fine.
George immediately walks away. He's like, I can't.
Right away. She starts singing. He just cheats.
It's amazing.
It's so funny. He comes out a couple times. It's great.
Oh, it's so good. I never noticed that for some reason.
I love it.
We're watching this yesterday to get like an idea of the episode, and then we do the notes, watch it again.
Yeah.
I noticed him walk away, and I was like, oh, that's great. And I was like, I don't remember that. And which is, I don't know if I missed it or what, but that's brilliant. I just love the bit.
And then he comes back out and then walks right back in there. It's so great.
Handle it. Yeah. He knows it's about to get really heartbreaking. He's like, nope. He just walks away.
Yeah. So
I can't do it.
So real quick, before there's one other notes about nothing thing that I wanted to point out, which I just think is fantastic. So they said that there was a rule for their characters, as they're going through their journey or on the show. There's no hugging and there's no learning. Yep.
True.
I think it's incredible, right? Like that's a very specific.
So weird.
That's great.
Like, no, we're not going to hug it out, and we're not. The character is not going to learn from their mistakes.
Yep.
They're just going to stay who they are, which is amazing. I
love it.
And I think it explains a lot.
That'll come up, by the way, plenty of times.
Yeah, no hugging.
Oh, yes.
It's funny. Speaking of, I have a note that's farther down. Jerry says, I love you to Kramer and George in this episode. No, actually, sorry. That was incorrect. He says, I love you, Kramer. When they're talking about being a human or a pod. Now, I love you, Kramer.
Yes.
And then he goes, now, and he tells us Kramer.
Oh, yes.
I love Elaine. It's just funny because, again,
he doesn't say that.
He doesn't say that. The no hugging, no learning. It's just very early season. It's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say that later.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's perfect how you brought that up because perfect.
Yeah.
Because he says I love you twice in this episode.
So
he doesn't do that.
So Elaine's there and she's brought the checks, right? So she's got first and last month's rent and she has the security deposit, right? So I don't know what the security deposit would be, but we're talking like maybe $1,500.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Elaine says, I've only got $75 left in my account, which I think is great, right? Like it gives you I feel like it's I love the specific details of like how much the character makes and like, are they middle class or, and it kind of gives you an idea that she lives not paycheck to paycheck because then she wouldn't have had that much money, but like, she's just above that, right? Like
dated Jerry. She's always around that area. She wants to be.
Yeah, and she wants more, right? Like
we need to go to that restaurant too. It's like
absolutely.
Whatever it's called.
She wants to live in a better neighborhood. She kind of wants to climb the class system a little bit, which makes sense. So then Jerry tells Elaine, right? And you You got to come up with that money.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see on his face, he's like, sorry, you got to $5,000. And obviously Elaine's like, I don't have $5,000, right? Who does?
So that's where in the episode where I brought that up earlier, because I was like, she's just accepting that somebody can pay for it like that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And then obviously you say that
It's
now.
never an issue. Yeah.
It's cool how they don't even mention it, which is such a thing. Like they just know it's.
Yeah. So then Kramer,
which
walks
is very
in.
New York probably, and it's like actually on point.
Yeah.
So
Kramer walks in, and what is this? Number
this is
24. Okay. Kramer walks in, still moosed. I think he's moosed the whole episode.
Yeah.
And he says to Elaine, "Hey, neighbor," which is real cute and sweet. And then Elaine rips up his necks. And she's like, "I can't. I'm not moving in." And I don't have $5,000. Kramer, being Kramer, speaks without thinking and is like, "What? You can come up with $5,000?" Which, okay, can you come up with it for me? You can come up with $5,000, and then he turns to Jerry and is like, "You can loan her the $5,000." And Jerry, he starts to be like, and then he asks Elaine, "Would you want to borrow $5,000?" And to Elaine's credit, she says, "I don't know. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
It's a lot of money to borrow."
Kramer antagonizes both of them at the same time.
He really does.
For both sides.
Yeah.
So that's like what, 15,000 now to borrow?
Yeah. Or I think you said 13,000, right?
Okay, so I did. Wait, 5,000? No, 13. Yeah, 13.
13?
13 grand. There's another number coming up, but that got confused.
Okay.
13 grand. It's like right now. Yes, you would need 13 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is
so
like today's standards. It's five grand.
Yeah.
But Kramer doesn't. Like I wrote here, he won't shut up. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So he shames Jerry.
It is so annoying. Yeah, it's like, dude.
Shames Jerry. He like.
Why doesn't he loan it to her then? If he's
it's very interesting.
So Elaine says, "Well, this is a big decision. Oh, it's a lot of money. Let me go upstairs and look at the apartment one more time." So she walks out of the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jerry immediately is like, "What's wrong with you?"
He's like, "I had it. This was it. Reason came along.
She was out.
I'm absolved of guilt. Like it's fine." And all of a sudden, you are not normal.
And Kramer says, "What? You don't want her in the building?" And Jerry says, "No, obviously." And watching Kramer's eyes in this moment, or Michael Richards' eyes in this moment, so amazing. Because then Kramer's like, "Well, what did you loan her the $5,000?"
That is the punchline, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
Because Kramer is so aloof, and just like the way
he is.
He doesn't he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You don't want her in the building?" He just doesn't. He's on a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Like he does, which is befits his. I was a little pissed at him earlier, but it is totally his character. He's not trying to be.
Yes.
He's not being mean.
Yeah.
He's just Kramer.
So then this is where the "I love you, Kramer."
Yeah.
But you're a pod.
Yeah.
Right. He says, "Kramer, you're an alien."
So real fast, pod. Okay, that's what I was wondering. What your take on the word was? Is that what you thought it meant, Mom? Pod, alien.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yes, because all we really knew or talked about between then up to 1990, whatever, was alien, and then like it's somehow in a pod.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus the Star Trek thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
okay, that's good. I like that.
At the end,
helps clarify.
At the end, Kramer says, "Well, sometimes I like to help the humans," right? So I don't know.
I think
that was the very sweet side of Kramer, by the way.
Michael has said, and we haven't got to this interview yet, but he talks about how he liked to have his character walk to the beat of its own drum.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So Elaine runs back in and it's like, "I'll take it," right? So, oh no, Jerry's like, "How am I going to handle this?" So we cut to the apartment along the marathon route, right? It has like good windows with a view of the route. So this is a friend of Elaine's.
Cool. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a friend of Elaine's. And she's kind of introducing, so Jerry and George came with her. And she's introducing Jerry as, this is the guy who got me my new apartment, right? It's really funny.
It's very sweet.
People yell across the room, hey, this is Jerry.
Very excited for Elaine.
Yeah.
They're excited that he got it for her. Like, you can tell.
You can tell Jerry's a little uncomfortable about it. And then eventually it happens so many more times that he's just like,
yeah.
I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven.
You see George wearing the fake wedding ring for the first time.
So I numbered the girls. George, girl 1, 2, and 3. These are not girlfriends. These are just conversations because each one's very unique.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what you guys think about each one.
Yeah.
What you think?
So he just says dumb things the whole time about. That's how I think.
Well, he's setting. Here's the thing. He's not saying dumb things. He's just completely lying.
He's just making. Yeah, he's just making.
But it's not dumb though, because he's got every girl's attention in a different way. That's what I want to talk about. So girl number 1 was kind of interested, but I wrote probably not, because her thing was, where's she at? Where's your wife? She was like curious. Ooh, I want to see her. She's like, okay. She touched his arm.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. So it's just like, I wrote kind of interested, probably not, because she did leave. I don't know. What you all think?
Yeah.
Girl number 1.
I don't know. She walked away.
She did.
Yeah, I don't think
that's what's funny.
I don't think she was that interested in him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
didn't get that from her.
Okay.
The last
kind of,
yes.
probably not.
Maybe a little, but not really.
She seemed more interested in actually meet. I don't know, whatever. So, and then we got random conversation now with Elaine and random guests, and there's this couple who, this is they got that's who got the apartment, and then her husband chimes in. She can pop in whatever she wants. Oh, and then she can also, and she can come over to, and they can, and Jerry's just like,
We also get a little tidbit about Elaine, because these are people that she knows from her short story class.
Oh yeah.
So she's in a class on how to write short stories, which I found super interesting, because it's like, yeah, we know she works in publishing, but we don't really know much beyond that.
Editing eventually, a lot of editing.
Yeah.
Big editing.
My dream job. But it did say in the notes about nothing that this is never mentioned in the show ever again. Right? Okay, so then the next lady that we're just talking to.
I wrote George, girl number 2, is very interested.
Yes.
George snorts when he laughs. He gets Marissa Tomei.
Meaning?
Mom.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just like, I'm making sure you shoot.
Yeah, she really digs him. And he's just thinking he's going to get more girls with this ring. And it's doing the actual opposite, because they won't mess with him because he's married.
Right.
They think he's married.
And so here's
which is so ironic.
The Marissa Tomei thing, do you understand that?
No, I do get it.
Yeah, because she likes short, stocky, bald men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
He says, I have a real thing for bald guys with glasses. And walks away because
the crowd is going crazy.
They
are laughing their ass off.
Here's what I think is happening. I think it's not about the wedding ring. I think the wedding ring is giving George confidence.
It is.
Oh, it totally is, because I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't he ever do this he never does this well.
Yeah. Well, you kind of
it's almost like it's as precious or something, It's like,
yes.
It's totally doing him good.
That's so
Lord of the Idiots. The Lord of the Idiots instead of Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Three Idiots. Yeah.
Yes.
To the 2 coffee shops. Yeah.
I think it gives him a little bit of security in that, like, nothing can actually happen because I'm married. Because remember in that last episode when he was dating the girl in the car, and then he freezes and he's like, oh, I can't drink coffee right now. It'll keep me awake all night.
Yes. So
he was flirting with her and he was doing totally fine. And then he freezes, right? So, like, with this, I feel like, and obviously this is like subconsciously, right? I don't think he's intentionally doing this. Mm-hmm. But for me, I feel like this wedding ring is going to get him out of something. Like it relieves him of the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's what he has trouble with.
Yeah,
know?
that's it.
Oh yeah.
But which that leads us to the third girl, right? Which
plus, real quick as a throw, like he also read the. How did he help me out here, ladies?
Yeah.
How did he find out about the wedding ring attractive thing?
It was his friend who got married recently.
Got it. So when you hear it working, also that confidence to knowing, ooh, it's worked.
Yeah.
And like if you read it in a magazine or saw it in a commercial or a movie.
Yeah.
All right. So
say that back then. For some reason, they did say that back then.
We are just kind of sneaking in between these girls real fast. Elaine gives Jerry an out.
Yeah, she walks up to him and she says, "Hey, have you thought about the fact that it might be awkward for us bringing people home to the same building? Wouldn't that be weird?"
She uses cramp our styles, which I was like, it's pretty interesting. That's a good point.
And funny because we were talking about George freezing. Jerry freezes, right? I don't even know what he said.
He couldn't even say anything earlier to Kramer.
Yeah.
He couldn't stop.
He just didn't.
He can't, it really hurts him to hurt Elaine.
Like he says, "Oh, it'll be fine," or something.
He does not want to hurt Elaine.
Yeah.
Like he can't.
Yeah. There is a note from, I think, Notes About Nothing.
Oh yeah.
So Jerry.
Oh yes.
Like actual Jerry says that fictional Elaine is his ideal woman, right? Yep. So he says she's sexy, but I think maybe equally important or more important is she's somebody that you always want to compare notes with, right? Which I like that sort of.
You want to know her opinions.
Yes, right? And he says you don't always agree, but you can always kind of see their perspective, right? And this idea that like you want to compare notes, like, hey, are you thinking the same thing that I'm thinking? Is this what really happened? You know, like you're the person that you go to and you're like, hey, is this what's going on? And so that's Elaine.
Like your friend does.
Yeah. And so I think it makes sense that Jerry doesn't want to hurt her, right? Like he's trying to, like it would be so, trust me, I totally get it as like an introvert, you know, like to think about like suddenly having somebody that you like way closer than they used to be. There's definitely a moment of panic because you're like, that's too close.
Buffer zone.
Yes, you need a buffer zone. Right?
Speaking of buffer zones, you got George over here talking Mac. So here we go. Girl number 3 was very direct. That's kind of all that, you know, we can talk about a little bit. She was the wife in Bad Boys 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she definitely looks familiar.
She was Martin Lawrence's.
She's been in a lot of stuff. She's great.
Yeah. So she says, I've never been one to I don't remember the exact words she used, but basically she says, I don't like to commit to one relationship. Right?
I have many physical relationships that can last for years.
Years and years.
Yeah.
And George is immediately like, oh, really?
Yeah, he's about to swallow his tongue a little bit. And
she says something like, too bad you're married or something like that. And then he immediately goes
that time he goes, screw it, and he takes it off.
Take the ring off, but he can't get it off, right? It's stuck on his finger.
George. Like whatever, dude.
So funny.
Oh, so funny.
So
he gets stuck, and then Jerry and
George. So they meet by the drinks.
To kind of huddle back together, and
George goes for the cookie.
Jerry takes the lead and says, "I'm like,
why couldn't I do this?" Right? He tells him what Elaine said, and I couldn't say anything. I couldn't tell her.
She gave me an out, and I still couldn't take it. I'm the biggest idiot in the world, or whatever he says.
Yeah, and then George,
with the name of this episode scrolling as we see it right now.
Yeah, I am Costanza.
I turned down guilt-free
sex for the rest of my life.
No commit sex for the rest of my life.
Free
floor seats to
any sporting event
in Madison Square Garden.
Because one of the ladies that he spoke to works for Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. And
I'm an idiot.
I am Costanza, Lord of the Idiots.
And then this is amazing comedic timing.
It is.
Right at that moment, you could see sort of the first wave of runners in the window, and so the rest of the people in the party are standing in the window cheering, and the lady, the host, is like, "You're all winners!
You're all winners!
You're all winners!"
And then you hear them. Suddenly, a new contender has emerged. That's so funny.
Which I love that even in the midst of their like socially miserable, they're like, "Oh, we're idiots," but they can still be pretty snarky. Yeah. I love that. So kind of wrapping up, we cut back to Jerry's apartment. Jerry's on the phone with George, and he says, I couldn't sleep. I've got to tell Elaine what I'm thinking. George still can't get the wedding ring off. So he's telling him, put some soap on it, right? Which, by the way, that like we've had to deal with that before, and that's absolutely terrifying to not be able to get the ring off. And it can be really
I've literally had to have them cut off.
Yeah, it's awful. So anyway,
to do that.
Okay, we got K-Man entrance number 25.
Yes, so Kramer comes in, and I don't remember like
big old favorite everybody. Kramer kind of saves the day in a little way.
Yeah, so Kramer says, "I did it. I took care of it.
I found a guy who's willing to pay $10,000.
$10,000,
which is $24,000 today.
Oh gosh, that's insane!
Wow,
that's half of most people I know's salary a year.
So that's just incredible. So
wow.
So then Jerry does
24,000. That's crazy.
Jerry does the right?
Yeah, Jerry gets out. So let's get out number 2 actually.
So I don't know if
we're gonna keep track of this. By the way,
I'd be curious if Jerry ever does it again.
Sorry.
But we're gonna keep track.
So Kramer just happens to mention.
Kramer also keep going.
I was gonna say he just happens to mention, oh, he's in the music business, so like he's got a lot of money.
So Kramer, we music business and whatever.
Yeah,
so we kind of go to the future a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jerry, Elaine, Manny, and Harold are all standing there in the apartment, and they're just listening to this loud rock music. It's not bad music, but it's just loud.
And then Kramer comes in and goes, "Ooh, I like when they play the one after this one." He's all dancing.
Yeah, Kramer.
We get Kramer entrance. Which we got 3 entrances this episode.
Yeah.
So pretty good. But yeah, this
Elaine says, "Oh man, if I were in that apartment, you wouldn't hear a peep out of me."
Yeah, which is true.
I'd be as quiet as a mouse.
Kramer will finish on number 26. Is his entrance?
Yeah.
Out for the future.
26.
And we go to stand up 3.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Am I a shusher or a shushy? And I can't remember the details about like what.
Let me grab a pen.
He starts by talking about noisy neighbors, but he pretty quickly starts in like a movie theater. Yeah. Like can you shush people in a movie theater?
Some people can't. Some people want to and they can't do it. And some people, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you'll hear it and you don't know where it's coming from, but you know you better start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. This episode airing gave NBC the confidence to pick up for a 3rd season. Oh. So it wasn't this episode that did it, but they were like, okay, cool. Like season 3 is locked in now. So we're not there yet, but we'll get there. And the next episode we are doing, everybody, is called The Stranded. Probably, we'll probably keep up with that every week, trying to keep.
This is another one I don't know that I've seen before. I haven't.
Yeah. Okay. So Jerry, sorry. It would be season 2, episode 9. It'll be our 14th episode. The Stranded. George strands Jerry and Elaine at a Long Island party because his sexy coworker needs a ride home.
Okay.
The party host later visits Jerry in the city and has fun with Kramer and a hooker. Yeah. Now, is this that party mom where they leave him at? And then no, is this? I know this isn't the dingo.
No, this is where they're stuck basically on Long Island, waiting for Kramer to pick them up.
Yeah, forever. And they could
at a party that they didn't want to go to because it was too far.
Windows have to
take a cab. It's like way out on Long Island.
Like degrees outside, and his windows don't work, and they have to ride all the way back. Like with Kramer,
it's just a bad idea, but they end up going because for a bunch of different reasons. It's funny. It's good.
A couple good guest stars.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a good one.
Stranded. So that's the next episode, everybody.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Who won the episode?
Yeah, who won the episode? Kramer?
Yeah.
He saved.
I'm going to actually give this one to Kramer for saving
he messed up, but he fixed it.
He did.
No, it wasn't his fault that they were loud.
Mm-mm.
No, I mean,
no, not at all.
When
he fixed it, like he saved the day.
Yeah, when he shamed Jerry into loaning.
That was a mess up, and then he.
Oh, that part. I agree. That part was no good.
He did tell everybody. He goes, sometimes I like to help the humans.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kramer. I would say
I do like the loving side of Jerry and the little loving side you see of Kramer, and then the excitedness of Elaine, and they're just very cute in this episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm not sure who the winner is, but
it's
in the end, it was Kramer.
Because they never have to show up again.
No, yeah, they get that one in time. They were funny though.
What do you think about a poll for the episode? What should we?
How much would you pay to get an apartment in New York?
Or what I was gonna say is, would you be comfortable having your best friend / ex partner?
That's the question.
In the same building as you.
That's the same question.
Right?
Or living next to you.
Or next door neighbor or whatever, right? Like whatever's easiest.
They are next. Would you actually just
That's a better question.
Next door neighbor covers the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like whether they are above you, next to the house.
Would you be comfortable having your ex-girlfriend or ex-partner
as a next door
neighbor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I have a feeling what everybody will say it, but
yeah, I think it depends.
It depends. Yeah.
But it's important. It needs to be best friend.
Last week's was divided.
Oh, really?
Usually we don't. Yeah, usually it's the same.
Okay.
This is now our longest episode again.
Yeah.
Just keeps crawling
Thanks,
up.
everybody.
Thank you for coming.
And we will see you next week for The Stranded. I'm very excited for another episode I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.